without taking too much time, then I would like to invite our next speaker, or our next two speakers, Tamara Mitrofanenko from UNEP and her colleague Julia Snajdr. Snajdr.
Please just put
Snajdr. Then it's shortened here. In any, please, you have your floor. So, you're presenting together?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Let's see, where is your presentation? Is it on desktop?
Yes.
Okay.
Tamara, how are you?
Finally, for those of you.
Stand up, sit down.
Stand up.
Okay.
And run
As you
around.
wish.
For those of you who still have not heard about the Bigfoot project, we will do so now. So we want to present you our research about intergenerational practice and its potential uses for sustainable development. Of course, because it's converted from a practical, small European Union funded project to a research project which is even more practical and small, we had to really focus on certain areas. So it sounds very big, but it's not. So, here. So, as you already know, I work for UNEP Vienna. It's a small office that is primarily working with mountain regions, sustainable development in mountain regions, and I'm working more with education, participation, and tourism development, and a little bit more cultural heritage and traditional knowledge. And one of the problems in the mountain regions, we primarily work in the Carpathians, but a little bit also in other mountains, is the fact that the younger people don't have much opportunities, so they leave, and then the aging is a global phenomenon, but it's more prevalent also in the mountain regions. So the elderly people are staying there, and probably they want to do something fun, they have a lot of ideas, but sometimes they need help. One of the ideas about developing rural areas and at the same time maintaining the biological and cultural diversity is establishing protected areas. And the idea of protected areas has evolved in the last years from just protecting biodiversity to really providing opportunities also for sustainable development and preservation of cultural heritage and traditional knowledge, and supporting income generation activities. At the same time, also education and research are part of the protected area objectives. These objectives are comprehensive, there are a lot of them, but protected areas don't always have a lot of funding, so it's not very easy for them to fulfill all of them. And a lot of times, often the local population, if they're not involved properly, they don't understand what the protected area is about, so they're rather against it. And there is a big research going on to try to see how can we improve this protected area management, and how can you help them to fulfill all of these objectives, also to help the local communities. And of course, this means a lot of this research says that it has to be done with participation of the local community. And a lot depends on the local cohesion, how people communicate among each other. And one of the interesting areas of development is intergenerational practice or intergenerational learning. Intergenerational practice is a more encompassing concept. Basically, it aims to bring people together in mutual, purposeful, mutually beneficial activities, which promote greater understanding and respect between generations, but also may contribute to more cohesive communities. So the main idea is that both the younger and the older generations are benefit, and then there is a great benefit also for the community. And a lot of these benefits this intergenerational practice provides could also be the answer to the issues that protected areas are facing. So that's why we had this idea to introduce this intergenerational practice into the protected area management and see if this could work also to improve life in the rural areas. I will skip the research questions because they're not so exciting, but basically this idea came from the Bigfoot project in which I was working on behalf of the UNEP Vienna. And the project was running in Bulgaria, Italy and Greece in the small municipalities in the mountains, which were all facing these depopulation and economic degradation issues. And the idea was to try to bring the older and the younger people together and educate them a bit about sustainable development and see what projects they could come up with to do together. And the project, so these are the areas where the project took place, And of course, we, as a program that works in specifically in the Carpathian Mountains, our idea was to take our experience from these 3 municipalities and introduce it to the protected areas in the Carpathian Mountains. You can see here is the map with many protected areas. So I was participating in the project and then interviewing protected area managers in the Carpathians to see how can we come up with some solutions. And here's some results. You can also see that we have a little exhibition of the photos from the project here. So during the break, you're welcome to come and see. All of these photos were taken by the participants, and we had a small contest, and these are the best photos from the contest. So basically, yes. Before we think of how can intergenerational practice contribute to sustainable development, we should think of how can older and younger generation contribute separately. So this is just a table of some attitudes, knowledge, and skills that each generation can contribute. And you can see them later, so I guess I don't want to take so much of the time. Mainly, older generation usually provides traditional experience, historical knowledge, some of them also professionals, and they can teach the younger people what they know. Also, they're very enthusiastic, and they would really like to have a lot of ideas about what they wanted them to do. And then the younger people are rather those who know technology, they're more open, they can network better, and they have a lot of new ideas. So the idea is that combining this traditional knowledge with new ideas, you could come up with some innovative solutions. And then in each of the countries in the province of Bulgaria, mostly they went to discover the mountains. The people didn't know anymore the names, the legends associated with the mountains. There's a lot of historical things that are located around Wörthersee, so they really discovered this, and they are very enthusiastic about making a new map of Wörthersee to invite tourists there. The government of Wörthersee was not really helpful. They are not interested in developing this project because they're actually they're cutting the trees. It's a very deforested area. In Gubbio, in Italy, they focus on local recipes. And they even introduced this intergenerational work together at a big festival that brings tourists to Gubbio. And from now on, they will have this intergenerational cooking together. And in Greece, the young people discovered the specialities of the regional production of fish, and then the costumes. Also, they hiked in a protected area, and there are some traditional sweets and really small family productions. So they also learned that you can really develop something with their family traditions. And these are some feedback from the participants who were quite excited about the project. And in each country, they decided to continue because they don't really need so much funds to make these excursions. And they involved people from the elderly institutions, from the protected areas, from the schools, and everyone was quite enthusiastic. So we have some publications that are available online for free. So of course you can use them if you would like to think to use this idea again. I have some of the transferability toolkits that UNEP Vienna developed, so you're welcome to have them. I also have the print versions. So finally, we had some conclusions of what can this intergenerational practice really bring to the protected areas. And we could see in several challenges identified for protected area management where this intergenerational practice could really fit. And mostly, it's always involving this exchange of new knowledge, of new skills, and different values and attitudes towards nature protection. And we also produced recommendations on different levels, from the single protected areas also to national, macro-regional, and international level. And these, especially from the national to international level, don't necessarily have to apply just to protected areas. You can take any aspect of sustainable development and think that basically just by bringing professionals in certain issues with professionals into intergenerational practice, they could come up with certain ideas of how to bring these two disciplines together and integrate this cooperation between older and younger people that can really be helpful to integrate processes in the rural mountains. So,
welcome to my part of the presentation. My work also focuses on intergenerational learning and on the other side on participation, and it's located in a biosphere reserve. The biosphere reserve is called the reserve Salzburger Lundau und Kärntner Rottenberg. So it is located partly in the Salzburger major issues. So they don't only look at biodiversity, research, sustainable development, but the inclusion of the local needs to be integrated in economic development, and at the same time looking at a functioning ecosystem. So what I can tell you goes back to a 2 years history of the park. It means the park was founded in July 2012. And first of all, I look back at which groups did not participate, which groups were not able to speak out in this whole population. These groups were mainly disabled people, migrants, young people, in my case 13 to 18 years old, and older ladies 75 years old and older. Due to time lag, I focus only on young people and old people, and leave the migrants and disabled person for the next years. And yeah, my focus with these two groups, old and young, are on one hand the communication. How does the park management communicate with people, and how do they actually get informed about what is going on in the region? Then I look at factors promoting and challenging the participation, and factors promoting and challenging intergenerational. So, Tamara and me went just on this week, Tuesday, to the Lunga region, to the Salzburg region of the park, and made a focus group workshop on the exchange of knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values, thanks, between the older and the young generation. And the workshop was held with ladies between 65 and 90 years old. Here you see how we interact. The first thing I wanted to know from them, what they, in terms of skills and in terms of values, could give to the younger generation. So what they pointed out is the proudness of their region, that it's a very livable region. Their experiences, erhalten von dem, was da ist. It means in English to preserve, conserve what we have here. Telling them what is of real importance in life. The youth need a bit of more respect. They need to say stop and don't be so easygoing all the time. And what was the major issue of them all the time, they want to give youth the opportunity to stand up for moral courage, to stand up against harmful. They want them to be heard and to form their own opinion and not be led by anybody's opinion. And here you see some fields which are of importance for them. After all, also music, which is a great issue in our workshop. And languages and dialects is also something they are especially pointing out. On the other hand, I wanted to ask them, what could you gain? Which fascination could you get by the younger generation? This is mostly self-confidence, the shouldering of challenges, so how the young people address their challenges very strongly. The enthusiasm, sich mitreißen lassen to just like go for an idea, to be open for the world, to be tolerant, to don't have any barriers in thinking. Then they are a lot familiar with mobility, technology, computers, and they were impressed by the fast way people, young people, get to know a lot more knowledge. So they will experience this in their time. So in the end, we kind of came up to ask the people, and how do we go on with these two knowledge bases? And they more or less came up with their idea to, we should combine the knowledge, but there is some still problems and hindering factors for actually coming together, which is, of course, something like there is no meeting places, there are no cultural institutions anymore in their places. We need to reinvent them, and they were totally confused about the term biosphere and about management, because this is all scientific and management management comes from above, so what should we do in this scientific authority world? So, and the way to overcome these barriers is to connect the new events regarding biosphere park development to existing ones which people go to, and these are found in theater, music also, and in health issues. So for the band, we're all young can dance, and afterwards we put some information in. Yeah, and what we want to get out of it is, in the long term, also an economic development, and we put it to the interviewed person as a thing which they can think about in the next months, and hopefully they will go to the participatory events and talk to people and come up with ideas which they will send to you. Thank you for your attention.
Awesome. Tamara and Julia for the very informative presentation. Mira, I don't know if we have any time for a few questions before the next session. Do you have some questions for Julia and Tamara? Or a comment, I don't know, just about what they've just mentioned. I think they mentioned something related also to dialects, which is something that Heinz feels strongly about, maintaining. How do you protect local languages, and that's a very important topic that Heinz is working on. But of course, we are in this workshop where you see the wise and the young. You know what I mean? And Tamara mentioned something related to intergenerational learning with regards to maintaining nature. And I think this is a very important point to make, that there is nowadays, with so much going on around, especially with young people, there's a disconnect between young people and the importance of nature and how to preserve our nature. And I think it's certainly this initiative to bring young people and the older generation together to make them understand of the importance of their livelihood in order to maintain it for the next generations is important, because that's also contributing to our own environment. You know, maintaining mountains means really maintaining, keeping a good and better environment for ourselves. So I think that's a very important point to make. And thanks so much for doing that. You would like to add something about that?
Well, yes. I mean, one especially related to our discussions yesterday and the group on entrepreneurship and education also. One thing that we're struggling with still, as Julia mentioned, the last question was economic development. Is how can we help these people create some initiative, something that would be also something that could also useful for their areas. So until now, the only answer we have is tourism development. That's why we try to inspire them to think, okay, that area is very special and it could also be interested to other people, and other people could also pay to come there. But probably there are other ideas, and we cannot have all the ideas. That's why it's so nice to inspire the young people in this area also to start their own little enterprises. And as I already told Hans, we were in Bulgaria, and there was an initiative to update the Wikipedia page of the Berkovica so that people know a bit more about this. And they didn't come and do it, so that's why it would be really nice to bring some training to these areas and enable them to do this and to use open sources to advertise themselves, but also think what can they really do themselves, what is interesting for them to do in this area. Yes, so these are the questions that I hope somehow in the next years, together with the IAA, we can also tackle.
Yes.
We will be very happy.
Great.
Thank
you very much. Thank you for paying attention to this particular session, and I guess I hand over to the next session.